Welcome back to another episode of the Stay Connected podcast. It's your host, Leo Herrera, the Connected Golfer. Today I'm alongside Remec Carlson, the CEO of golf content creator and professional. He's a teacher. He's definitely connected to the game of golf. We're going to be learning a ton from his experiences going through the game, for a lifetime, I'm sure now, and where the future of the game is really going with all the content stuff that we're all hearing online. So Remec, thank you so much for being on the podcast, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for having me, Leo. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So I always start the pod with this question: how did you get into the game of golf?
I got in at a very early age. My dad was a professional soccer player, and when he retired, playing soccer, he picked up golf, and basically me and him learned how to play together. I would go to the range with him when I was like 5 years old, as like a little kid, and we would kind of learn together. And it wasn't too far away until I started eventually like beating him. And then I got lessons, and played junior golf tournaments and college golf and a little bit of pro. But yeah, it's been a long time. Probably been playing this game for like 25 years or
Wow.
so, or had a club for 25 years. So a lot of experience.
Absolutely. And it shows with your content and what, you're able to share with, the quality of your game and what you know about the game. Clearly shows
Mhm.
like you've been connected to it for a while. So where did you grow up in? What city?
So I grew up in Los Angeles for 15 years, and then I moved over to Florida, like Sarasota area, for high school, and then kind of finished growing up there, and then went off to college.
Nice. Nice. So when did you get started with even like wanting to start to do content and everything? How old were you?
Probably like when I was like 24, 23, and I just kind of started making like videos on the side. So long story short, I failed, or I didn't fail to become a professional golfer. I just lost all my money becoming a professional golfer. And I was forced to get like a desk job from 9 to 5. So I was working as an accountant because that was my major. I was like, okay, might as well just use this. And I was pretty much miserable working that desk job. And I wanted to kind of distract myself pretty much. I didn't think anything would come from these silly little videos that I would create. I would just create them and then eventually edit them and eventually post them. And then it took probably a while for it to get traction and to gain momentum. And as you know, like it's all about kind of taking advantage of your opportunities and taking advantage of the momentum while you have it. Because it comes and goes, and there's definitely like waves of success in this industry,
Yeah.
and you can't really be as consistent as you want to be
Yeah.
in terms of growth.
And what was the type of content that you first started with? Was it golf tips?
Yeah, tips, coaching. Yeah.
I feel like that's the best way for anyone to get started if they're like wanting to do content. Like whatever just like help people like 101, how do you do it? Like because there's a lot of people that are just scrolling through that don't really like have an idea about what you know a lot about, and the things you take for granted, you could just share that and people really value it.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. It's all about trying to give as much value to the customer as possible, like regardless what you're trying to do, like whether you're a baker or a merchant, right? You're trying to, or a content creator, you're trying to deliver as much value to the customer as possible, in order for them to have a great experience, in order for them to have like a benefit, to designate their time enough to follow you and to watch your videos. So like at the end of the day, like whether you're in it for like uh comedic reasons, because there's for sure like that route that you could go, or you could go the educational route. Um, at the end of the day, you want the audience to gain some value out of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. And before we get deeper into that topic, I want to kind of run through your experience of junior golf because you played at a competitive level growing up. You played college golf. Can you talk to me about your mindset going into like junior golf tournaments when you were growing up? Did you feel like a lot of pressure to perform, and like how was that experience for you?
Yeah, absolutely. I'd say like I felt more pressure back then than I do now. Unfortunately, because at that, like looking back at it, I should have been a lot easier on myself. You know, like
Yeah.
I was way too hard on myself, and I like lived or die by every shot. Like it was like life or death to me at least. And um, I was like stupid nervous going into tournaments, and I would like put all this work in, obviously, and then like you want that work to pay off, so you put like a lot of pressure on yourself. But then at the end of the day, it's like you just got to trust the work that you put in to your craft, and whatever happens happens. It's kind of not really up to you, and the only thing you could really control is how you um, respond, you know, and how you kind of get back to where you're like, okay, back into the process. Like, okay, like I finished this place in this tournament. Like, why did that happen? Like, good or bad? Like, maybe I won. Like, why did that happen? Like, what did I do well? What did I do bad? What can I improve on to the next tournament? And as long as you kind of keep repeating that process, as boring as it is, that's what the successful people do. Is like they just do the boring things really, really, really freaking well. Like, look at Scotty Scheffler;
Yeah.
he's a boring dude, you know. So
Yeah.
he's not the
Exactly.
most exciting dude, but he just does everything really well.
Yeah. And I don't know about you, but like, I felt like during the junior golf stages, you were always going for this like carrot at the end of the stick where you knew you needed to just play well in these events to maybe get a chance to get to the next level, play college, to maybe it was just to play in the invitational tournaments, the AJGAs that were the big ones that, all the
Yeah.
best players would play in. That the way the junior golf system like has been created, I feel like is unbelievable. It's been really good to grow the game of golf.
Hmm.
But with that being said, I think there's also so much room for improvement and an opportunity for us like content creators that truly inspire the next generation of the game, uh, like to come in and create something cool for the game. So I'm curious to you. I'm sure since you're a content creator now, like you're on a path to help grow the game, to get more people involved in the game, to truly make an impact. What are some of the things that you're looking to do to help grow the game?
So, like I said earlier, I want to provide as much value to people as possible. Whether I've been fortunate enough to have like a ton of lessons growing up, and I know a lot of people don't have what I got growing up, and to have parents kind of like invest into your career and to like your sport. So I want to take the knowledge that I learned from like all these lessons and continuing to learn about the golf swing and about the golf game, and kind of just put it out there on the internet for free for people to watch. And um, I answer anybody's DM if they need it.
So I think what we were getting at was with junior golf also, like what you're really doing, like what we're really doing as creators is, yeah, we're giving value to the golf community as a whole that wants to really
Yeah,
learn, but we're also inspiring like a whole generation of these up and coming golfers that are now like
true.
considering to take content seriously because they want to get involved in this. And I'm sure a lot of
Yeah,
people hearing this, are could be interested in that, and like they're kind of like an up and coming junior golfer and knows that they got the game, they got some personality, they want to learn how to express it, they want to be a golfer that's known on social media as for their skills. So like what are some of the pieces of advice that you can give uh, a junior golfer like that coming up?
gotcha, gotcha. Yeah, I'd say like don't be afraid about what people think. Like that could go into anything though, but like that's the big hurdle behind it. Like you have a life outside of whatever you're trying to do professionally, whether it's playing professional golf or doing this content creation stuff. Like people are going to have opinions and have like uh, an agenda to try to like knock you down and try to discourage you. but it's just on you just to kind of like brush that off and kind of just keep at it, because like um the more attempts you have at it, the more chances you are to succeed. And honestly, it's like you kind of make the algorithm kind of like you almost. You just kind of like post until it's like just a ridiculous amount, until like
Yeah.
something pops, and then you kind of try to you take like okay, why did that pop? Like why did that video pop? And kind of you see like little like certain technical stuff you did within the editing, or like if there's a certain word or phrase that you said in the beginning, or if it was just an overall video idea, you just try to repeat that over and over again. And then you might have like a next video that pops and you're like, okay, why did that pop? And you just kind of, it's always like learning and adapting to your environment, and it's always changing
Yeah.
too. So like what worked 2 months ago is not might not work today.
Yeah, for sure. And what are some of the biggest challenges that you face building your brand?
I'd say like not seeing the immediate success for sure. Like you just kind of have to be patient with it, and it's going to take a little bit. And success happens. I'm not saying I'm successful, but I'm just saying like the little success that I've had, it happens in spurts. So like you might go like this for a while, and then just have like this crazy increase in views or followers, or have these crazy amount of opportunities right away. And then you like level off for another 3 months and you're like, what the heck? Like, what's going on? Like, all these other people are passing me and I'm just here stagnant. Like I said, you can't worry about what other people think about you or other people's situations. It's all about just trying to keep repeating that process over and over again.
Yeah. And how did you make the transition from like always practicing golf, like as a competitive golfer? I'm sure you were out there grinding, pretty much every day of the week, to now like, oh wait, it's not just about practicing. Now I got to come out here and create a video. How is that
Yeah.
mental switch for you? You know, that a lot of people, that's why they resist doing the content, because it's like, I do it, but then it's like I gotta create something around that. Like I'm sure in the beginning you sucked at making videos, but just day by day you
Yeah.
started getting better.
Yeah, for sure. I'd say like the biggest switch is just like I was kind of forced into it again. Like I had a desk job and I was like, okay, like I'm not competing right now. So like I'm just kind of like I'd rather film these videos on the course than just mess around with my buddies and drink alcohol and like play with like people that shoot like hundreds. Like
Yeah.
obviously like that's not for everybody, just for us that like that have grown up competing against like the best players in the world. It's hard to go back to like that recreational stuff. So having this content and having these videos that I needed to film on the golf course was kind of like it was almost like a way for me to scheduleize being out on the golf course, rather than like, okay, I'm going to the range for like 30 minutes, doing this drill for like 10 minutes, going a short game, doing this drill for 10 minutes. I have like this set schedule of content that I'm creating. Like, oh, I'm making this video for like the first 30 minutes, then I'm switching outfits, making this video for the next 30. So it gave me like a sense of structure to like allowed me to like go back out to the golf course in order to like have a sense of purpose again. Like before then, I kind of just was like playing to play and I didn't really feel like I had a purpose, but the content gave me like that sense of purpose, which was huge.
Dude, that's spot on, man. Is that I really felt like I had the same experience. It felt
Mhm.
like, I went through a phase where I was making the transition to professional golf and figuring out like what I wanted to do. And also like I needed some capital to be able to play. So I
Yeah.
actually stumbled on content and started doing it, which was around when we met.
Mhm.
And that's when I was kind of getting started with it. And I realized that like, wow, creating content makes me feel eager to go out to the course, because I know I
Yeah.
have so much to share because I've lived golf forever, that
Hmm.
it's like, wow, like what's going to come today? You can hold out and get it on camera today, that's
Yeah.
that's dope. So that's why I've loved the experience of being a content creator. And it hasn't come naturally to me because I've always focused on golf being like, this is my discipline. where I go in and I'm focused. I remember the year I started doing content, like I set out a New Year's resolution that I wasn't going to use my
Mhm.
phone during practice, and I
Oh
was
shit.
filming, like, I ended up filming and starting to film on the course all the time that year. And but yeah, it just gave me that sense of purpose. But to the note that you were talking about earlier about like it's always changing, how have you adapt to the changes in the digital landscape per se?
Um, yeah, you just kind of have to like um figure out a way to grab the audience as quick as possible. At the end of the day, if your idea is good and your hook's good, then it's gonna be a successful video, you know? And the way to adapt is just kind of figure out a way to continuously give people value while staying true to yourself. And as long as you're kind of doing that, then you should be pretty successful, I think.
Yeah, that's spot on. And I've realized like there's phases in like the content creation journey where in the
Hmm.
beginning, like you're just trying to find like a type of video that goes viral. You're trying to like use, viral hooks that can get you exposed and, like really pushing the content out there. But then once you get to a point where you've built, a solid following, it's like, what do you do with this following? What are some of the things that
Right.
you've done to build a business around your content creation journey?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a great question. Like, I'd say for right now, um, I do like a lot of brand deals, and I try to like reach out to these brands in order to get X amount of dollars in order to kind of promote their product or service. So right now, that's what I'm doing mainly. But I'm going to be creating kind of like a coaching online platform to kind of help on the back end of that stuff. And you want to create as many revenue streams as possible. So um, fortunately for me, I have like a following that listens to some of my tips here and there. And I feel like if I have some sort of program that they could just revert to on a week in, week out basis based on where they stand uh, as a golfer, if they're a beginner golfer, kind of like that 10 to 20 handicap range or a 10 handicap or lower, they could kind of go to this program and just um, kind of schedule out their practice, whether they have like 1 day a week to practice or 2 days or 3 days. This will help them kind of get to where they want to get just by following this.
Yeah. So is it a program that you have like pre-recorded, or is this something you walk through the client one on one?
So this is a pre-recorded program, and they have like different levels to where if you're a beginner golfer, then I go through like a lot of technical stuff. And if you're kind of an intermediate golfer, that 10 handicap to 20 handicap range, I go through some technical stuff, but mainly kind of on course uh, uh, stuff to kind of help them score a little bit better. And then obviously, if you're if you're an elite golfer like that 10 handicap or below, then it's mainly just on the golf course because everyone has their own swing, and it comes to a certain point to where you just kind of have to get out there and get the ball in the hole, you know?
Yeah, 100%. That's very similar to kind of the path that I've been taking too, because I realize like, and this is something that goes out to anyone that's even considering like doing content, especially in the golf space. Like once you start just sharing what you know and building that credibility where people see you as a guy like, oh, like he's knowledgeable, he's experienced in golf, like, I'm gonna listen to him. Then you can basically build your own inner academy, inner world that is filled
Yeah.
with people that are willing to be a part of the community, where it's more than
Hmm.
just a following; it's now a community, which is really the transition that you got to make as a content creator to really make a living. How can you convert
Yeah.
these people that follow you into paid customers? And like in a way where, yeah, you've been giving away free value this whole time, um, but what's going to make them say, "I'm going to pay for your content"? It's really going to be the fact like how well you were able to impact them. And that's why I love your brand. I think it's a huge, part of what you got to build as you're doing this. People go with their own name, and sometimes that rolls. But I truly believe that if you build that alter ego, and really help people feel like they're a part of a movement, that's
Hmm.
where you really build out that community aspect. So, what inspired you to be the CEO of golf?
That's a good question. And it's not really kind of like an ego thing. Uh, uh, Mainly talking about like how me specifically, like I'm not the CEO. It's just kind of more an overall like persona that you want to have going into the game of golf. Like you want to be the CEO of your own golf game. So at the end of the day, I'm not the CEO. Uh, uh, Wait, sorry. Going back to like when I was growing up, I would not really be the CEO of my own golf game. I would be too reliant on all these coaches to kind of fix my game, fix my swing, and then I would get out to the golf course, and if one thing went bad, I would just be complete in disarray. And that would go kind of come back to like I didn't own my own golf game. I wasn't the boss of my own golf game. I wasn't the CEO of my own golf game. So after I graduated college, got my desk job, it kind of came to me that like I had enough talent in order to make it. I just didn't. I wasn't like my own boss out there. Like I didn't like I wasn't the CEO of my own golf game. So um, I want to kind of like talk about like how everyone could be the CEO of their own golf game. I want you to be the CEO of your own golf game. I want Joe Smith to be the CEO of his own golf game. I want, you know, the little 14-year-old girl playing competitive golf trying to make it on the AJGA be the CEO of her own golf game. It really doesn't matter who you are and where you are in terms of experience or skill. You really Anybody could own their own golf game. Anybody could be the boss of their own golf game. So that's the overall backstory of the username there.
No, that's awesome, man. It's a really inspiring message, and it's what the people really need in order to be a good golfer. Like, you got to know who you are, and be committed to what you're doing. And
Yeah,
it's that CEO mentality, and
yeah.
that's really what's truly needed in today's world in general. And
Mhm.
we're able to share this, through the game of golf, what we love to do, and actually like impact people and have them transform. Not just make a few changes here and there, but truly transform the way they think about themselves and life through what we're able to share. So it's awesome. I'm curious to know how are you able to measure like the impact that your content is making on in the golf community? Is it through your reach? Like, is it
I
through
mean,
getting into these events? Like,
you really can't. You just got to trust what you're doing is correct. And that's a tough question. It's like as long as you're helping enough people, like I don't think like views or follower count matters really. Like you rather have like 5,000 loyal followers than 100,000 kind of followers that don't really follow you, you know?
yeah,
So it's tough to quantify that number, but at the end of the day, if you have people like asking you questions in the DM or like caring about what you're doing, then you know what you're doing is right, you know?
yeah. And how do you ensure that your content like not only like entertains, but also like inspires and educates people, where it's not like redundant and it feels like you're just giving the same tip over and over, or the same style? Like, how do you keep it fresh and entertain, but also inspire and educate?
Yeah. I do a lot like based on like what I'm doing in the game of golf, like honestly, like and I have like instances where I kind of go back and be like, oh yeah, I forgot to give that tip and I forgot to give that tip. Like, oh, this helps you practice. Like, this helps me practice. So I want to share that with everyone else because if it could help me, it definitely could help like a lot, like definitely one other person out there. And at
Yeah,
the end of the day, you don't really try to make content to solve 1,000 problems or 1,000 issues. If you could help like 10 or 15 people or even like 5 people, then that's a win right there,
Yeah.
Um, and that's it. That helps a lot too with getting it over the fear of making videos and posting.
Yeah. So what's your aspiration now as a golfer, as a a person that loves the game of golf, and I'm sure still wants to be known as a great golfer? Like, where do you aspire to be in the future in the game, given where the game is trending towards?
Yeah. I don't really like if I could play some tournaments, that'd be cool. Um, I want to qualify for the U.S. Open, so that's a goal of mine.
Nice.
I'm going to be training for that this year, and trying to get those scores low because you need to go low in order to do that. I'm sure you know.
Yeah.
Uh, USGA winner right here, but um, yeah, that's the main goal right now, and I want to be a pretty successful golf coach too. In terms of playing, it's tough, but hopefully get into some tournaments here and there.
Well, where do you see the future of golf going now with like content and everything? Like, do you feel like the form of competitions is going to change and is going to give more opportunity to people that are in our position with a following and all that?
For sure, yeah, I think so. You just got to kind of be unique with the idea, because there could only be so many crazy matches out there or best matches ever. You know what I mean? Like titles on YouTube. Um, you just kind of have to be unique and true to yourself, and well, that will open a lot of doors and give a lot of people opportunity.
Yeah. And I've realized like now that the PGA Tour is opening arms for these content creators and everything, and opening up opportunities, like new career paths, really.
Mhm.
Like, how do you think that the role of these influencers is going to like change and evolve over the next few years? Because I truly believe, people like Grant and Bryson, they're the most influential people. Like they're ambassadors for the game of golf.
For
Uh,
sure. Yeah, definitely. And the PGA Tour is going to continue paying those like top guys that have the biggest reach and whatever, and giving those guys the best opportunity, and rightfully so. They have like a great audience and a loyal audience that follows them. Um, but in terms of like other stuff, we'll see. I don't know. I don't know if they'll continue giving different people the same opportunity. Um, it might not make sense, if what they're doing is working. And I think that you're going to start seeing like, I mean, we already see like TaylorMade having Grant Horvat in some commercials and stuff, but I think you're going to see a lot more of these top creators being involved in some of these endorsement deals that some of the guys on the PGA Tour get. You'll probably
yeah.
see some of like, uh, uh, how all these tour guys have like these patches on their shirts, right, with these different sponsors. You're probably going to start seeing more of that, I assume, on these YouTube golf creators.
Yeah, 100%. So talk to me a little bit about your brand deals. I saw you just signed with Mizuno.
Mhm.
Not just, but you've been with them for a little while. How has that experience been?
It's been really cool. It's been awesome being a part of the Mizuno family, and getting to see like all these different clubs that are coming out. And I'm a golf nerd myself, so I love trying and testing these new products out. And I'm sure 99% of the golf population could relate to that. Is testing out a brand new
Yeah.
club, right? So I just get excited just by doing that. And if I could do that over and over again and test these new clubs, then I'm like a kid in a candy store.
100%. And not only that, but you're getting access to other pros to be able to practice with them and play.
Yeah.
Like, can you talk to me a little bit about those experiences and how it's been to like practice with the pros?
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was up in Seattle, and I think like last October, and I was hitting balls next to Luke Donald. This was right after the Ryder Cup where they won, and I was like,
Wow.
what am I doing? What am I doing here? Like this, like I do not belong here. But it's really, really neat. Definitely opened up a lot of doors, and um, being able to play against these guys on the PGA Tour, you realize like um, how like you're not that far off, right? Like they just have a crazy like solid mentality, and like
Yeah.
kind of like killer be killed mentality type of thing. Like nothing's going to phase them, and they're going to beat you no matter what type of thing. They don't really hit the ball any better than like me or you or any of these other junior golfers that are growing up. They just have like a crazy amount of belief in themselves, and you can really see that.
And that belief is built over time, time of making the right decisions, and I guess you never know what right or wrong is, but really making mindful decisions, being
Yeah,
intentional with their behavior. Those guys have grinded their whole life. They've
yeah,
dedicated themselves day in and day out to being out there and just letting it happen, which is really the biggest takeaway from today is connecting to a process and going through it, whatever it is, whether it's golf, whether it's creating content. You got to have the structure, and you got to just stay on path one day at a time and try to get a little bit better every single day. But do you have any final pieces of advice you'd like to share with the listeners as far as your journey's gone in golf? Awesome. Well, I appreciate you, Remec. Thank you so much for taking the time and for being on the podcast. For everyone that hasn't followed Remec yet, go follow him at the CEO of Golf on Instagram. You have a YouTube channel as well. He's killing it. He's got great content, and he's been in the game for a while. So you definitely learn a thing or two with him. All right, guys. See you in the next one.